Can you delegate a right that you yourself do not possess? In other words, if something would be immoral for me to do, can I make it moral or make it a right for someone else to do the same thing, like stealing, for example? If me and a group of my friends got together, can we delegate a right that we do not have ourselves onto someone else or onto another group of people? Is there any ritual that my group could do that would make it okay for us to delegate the right for someone else to steal? What if we all voted? Does that make stealing okay? What about if we wrote on pieces of paper that decrees that we have the right to take other people's money without their mutual voluntary consent? Does that make that okay to do? If it is not okay for a group of 10 people to steal from an individual, then at what size of the group does make taking someone's money without their consent okay? 100? 1,000? 10,000? 100,000? A million? A billion? Or is it never okay for a group to steal from an individual or another group themselves? If it is not okay for an individual or a group to steal from another individual or group, and such a right of stealing cannot be delegated, then where does the government get their rights to tax us? Where do they get the right to tell us or any individual what they can or cannot do? Where do they get the right to rule us? I am willing to bet that you answered these questions with no, because that is the logical, consistent, non-contradictory answer and is self-evident and needs no explaining. Since it is so obvious that ourselves do not have the right to steal someone else's money, it is also clear that we cannot delegate that right that we do not have onto someone else, because that would make us complicit in stealing someone else's money. It also makes sense that even getting together into a group does not make taking someone's money a right, and it would also logically follow that no ritual would make doing that okay either. It would stand to reason that the logical conclusion to this is that no matter how big the group is or how many people try to delegate a right that they individually do not have onto someone else, or have someone steal on our behalf, would make the act of theft okay, or even if we voted or wrote down on pieces of paper to make this action moral. Once this logical conclusion is met and understood, it stands to reason that no government is ever legitimate and are nothing but a criminal gang of thugs and thieves, and they have no right to rule over any of us or tell us how to live or to tax us. This one simple truth of, I cannot steal nor can I delegate that right to someone else no matter what I do, such as having a larger group or performing any rituals like voting, would ever make it okay. Government is not legitimate when you follow this simple line of questioning to its logical end of, can you delegate a right that you yourself do not have? The answer will always be no, and the answer to whether or not government is legitimate when you follow this line of questioning to its utmost logical conclusion, the answer will always be no, since there cannot be any other answer. Government must end. There is nothing civilized about forcing a great master plan onto everyone. No one knows best for everyone. The only person that has the right to rule you is yourself, and only yourself. No external force or entity or any other living being has the right to rule you. All rights are derived from property rights. Without property rights you have no rights at all, because if you do not own yourself, then you are no different than any inanimate object, and anyone can do anything they want to you. The right to liberty comes from your individual private property right of owning yourself. Your right to life comes from your property right of owning yourself. Your right to acquire property comes from your own self-ownership. In other words, you yourself are your first private property when you are born, and that is where all your rights are derived from, not from any group or government. Rights cannot be granted or taken away, they can only be violated by other actors. Government is not legitimate.